I used to think rock bottom would feel loud. I imagined some dramatic crash, a final notice slammed on a table, a landlord yelling, "My car towed in front of my daughter." But real rock bottom, at least for me, felt strangely ordinary. It sounded like the soft beep of a supermarket scanner, the rustle of plastic bags, and my 7-year-old daughter, Emma, whispering, "Daddy, do we have enough for the cereal too?" I looked down at the small pile of groceries on the belt. A gallon of milk, a bag of rice, a few cans of beans, the cheapest chicken I could find, bananas, and a box of the off-brand cereal with a knockoff cartoon character on it. We'd spent 10 minutes in the aisle negotiating cereal like we were signing a peace treaty. "Can we get the chocolate one?" she'd asked. "We can get a chocolate one," I'd replied. "Just maybe not the one with the superhero on it." Now, standing at the register, I could feel her eyes on me as I pulled my debit card from my wallet. The card was bent at the corner, the numbers worn down from too many swipes, too many prayers. The cashier, a kid who couldn't have been older than 19, gave me a polite smile. Behind me, the line stretched back, people shifting their weight, scrolling on their phones, sighing softly. I tried to ignore all of them. $28.73, the cashier said. I nodded like that number didn't scare me. "Yeah," I said. "That's fine." I slid the card. For a half second, the world held its breath with me. The little screen blinked, thought about it, and then printed its verdict in cold, merciless letters. Declined. Heat rushed to my face so fast I felt dizzy. The cashier glanced at the screen, then at me, his smile evaporating. It says it didn't go through," he mumbled. I could feel the weight of the line behind me turning into eyes, invisible but burning into my back. "Oh," I said, like I just heard something mildly inconvenient, like someone had told me it might rain later. Let me try again." I knew what was in that account, or what wasn't. Rent had hit yesterday. The electric bill had swallowed the rest. I knew there was nothing there. But I slid the card again anyway, because the alternative was turning around and telling my daughter we were going home with nothing. It declined again. The cashier cleared his throat. "Do you have another card?" I almost laughed. Another card. I had one more card, but it was a credit card with a balance, like a bad joke, maxed out months ago when my hours got cut at the warehouse and Emma got sick at the same time. I carried it with me out of habit, like you keep a key to a door that doesn't exist anymore. "Daddy?" Emma's voice was a small, careful question. I swallowed. "Yeah, just a second, baby girl," I said, trying to make my voice sound casual. "The machine is just being weird." There was a sharp sigh behind me. Not loud, but pointed, the kind of sigh that's meant to be heard. I didn't turn around. "I'm really sorry," I said to the cashier, lowering my voice. "Can we maybe take off the chicken and the cereal? Just those. I'll try again." He started to reach for the chicken, his expression apologetic. As he did, a woman's voice cut through the air behind me. "Oh my God, seriously?" I felt my shoulders tense. "You've been standing here for 5 minutes," she said. "It's not that complicated. You pay and you move." I turned then. She looked like she'd stepped out of a lifestyle ad. Blonde hair in a perfect low bun, white coat that had clearly never seen a bus seat, designer bag hooked over her arm. Her lipstick was the kind that stayed exactly where you put it. Her impatience was sharp enough to cut. "I'm sorry," I said, "because that's what you learn to do when you're poor. You apologize for existing. My card just doesn't work," she finished for me, rolling her eyes. "We can all see that." Her friend beside her laughed softly. "It's fine," she went on, waving her hand like she was swatting a fly. "Just put it on mine. Seriously, I'll pay. We're going to be here all night otherwise." I blinked. For a moment, I thought I'd misheard her. The cashier froze too, his hand halfway to the chicken. Emma looked up at me, then at the woman. You don't have to do that," I said slowly. The woman scoffed. "Oh, relax," she said, and there was something in her tone, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "It's what, $30? It's nothing. Go ahead," she added, holding up a sleek black card between two manicured fingers. Use it. Her friend snickered, covering her mouth. That's when I understood. This wasn't kindness. This was a performance. For her friend. For the line. Maybe even for her own ego. Look at me, the generous stranger, dropping crumbs off my table. The cashier glanced at me like he was stuck in the middle of a game he hadn't signed up to play. "Sir?" he asked. It's your call." My pride screamed at me to walk away, leave the groceries, take my daughter's hand, and march out with whatever dignity I had left. But then I felt Emma's fingers slip into mine, small, warm, trusting. "Daddy," she whispered, "it's okay. We don't need the cereal." She was 7. She shouldn't have known that kind of sacrifice. I looked at the cart, then at the card in the woman's hand, then back at my daughter. Sometimes, being a parent means swallowing your pride until it hurts. I took a breath. "Okay," I said quietly. "If you're sure, I'll pay you back, I promise." Her smile widened, but there was something cruel curled at the edges of it. "Oh my God, don't worry about it," she said, laughing now. "Buy yourself something nice too." The cashier took her card with a hand that didn't quite stop shaking. The groceries were paid for, the receipt printed. "Thank you," I said, forcing the word past the lump in my throat. "Really, thank you." She shrugged, already pulling out her phone. "It's nothing," she said, then added under her breath, not quiet enough, "Some people just need a little help, right?" Her friend giggled again. I caught a glimpse of her phone angled just so, like she might be recording. I didn't say anything. I picked up the bags, balanced them on my arms, and reached for Emma's hand. As we walked away, she looked back at the woman and gave her a shy little wave. "Thank you," Emma said. For half a second, something flickered in the woman's face. Then it was gone, replaced by that same amused smirk. We stepped out into the cold evening. The parking lot lights painted everything in that washed-out yellow that makes even new cars look tired. My car, a dented, sun-faded sedan that rattled when you drove over 40, sat under one of the lights like it was hoping not to be noticed. I loaded the groceries into the trunk in silence. "Daddy?" Emma asked softly. "Yeah?" Was that lady mad at us? I closed the trunk, resting my hand on the cold metal for a second longer than I needed to. No, I lied. She just doesn't like waiting in line. "Why did she pay for our food then?" she asked. I looked at her little face, round and serious, eyes too big for such a small person. "Sometimes," I said slowly, "people do the right thing for the wrong reasons, but the food is still real." She thought about that, then nodded. "I'm glad we got the cereal," she said. "I'll just eat a little bit, so it lasts." That sentence broke something in me quietly. On the drive home, she hummed along to some pop song on the radio, crunching cereal out of the box, one piece at a time, like each one was gold. I kept one hand on the wheel, and one on the bag in the passenger seat that held the receipt with the woman's name on it. By the time I tucked Emma into bed and washed the dishes in our tiny kitchen, I'd made up my mind I wasn't keeping her money. I couldn't control why she'd offered, or the way she'd laughed, or whatever she might be posting on her phone right that second. I couldn't stop the world from seeing me as the broke single dad. But I could decide who I was when I looked in the mirror. I folded the receipt, wrote her name on an envelope, and tucked in $30 crumpled dollars, everything I had left in cash. It wasn't much, but it was what the groceries had cost. I'd figure out gas later. I'd drop it off at the store in the morning, leave it with the manager. If he couldn't give it to her, fine. I had at least tried. I slept badly, in that half-awake state where your worries pace circles around your brain all night. The next morning, my phone buzzed before my alarm went off. At first, I ignored it, rolling over and pulling the thin blanket up to my chin. But it buzzed again and again, a string of notifications. I squinted at the screen. 3 messages from my coworker, Carlos. "Bro, is this you? Check this link." "Man, you're all over TikTok." My stomach dropped. With shaking fingers, I opened the link. It was a vertical video, grainy, shot from a phone. The caption read, Some rich chick helps a broke dad at the store, but watch his face. The clip started with me at the register, the cashier mumbling about my card not working, the woman's voice chiming in. "Oh my God, seriously?" The video zoomed in on her as she rolled her eyes, flashed her card, said, "Go ahead, use it," with that sharp, mocking laugh. It caught the way her friend snickered, the way she tilted her phone like she was capturing a rescue mission. But it also caught something I didn't expect. Me. I watched myself on the tiny screen, the way my shoulders hunched, the way I looked at Emma, then at the groceries, then at her card like it was a live grenade. The way my jaw tightened when she said, "Some people just need a little help, right?" There was no sound in the store when I said, "Thank you," but on the video, people had added text over it. This man, pure respect. The clip ended with Emma's little "thank you" and the flash of something on the woman's face. I scrolled down. The video had millions of views. Millions. The comments section was a wildfire. This favor was pure humiliation. I'm glad he kept his dignity. The way the little girl said thank you and she still laughed? Nah. Find this man. I want to send him a gift card. Imagine thinking you're the hero, and the whole internet sees you as the villain. My hands were sweating. I hadn't asked for any of this. I just wanted to buy groceries and disappear. "Daddy?" Emma's sleepy voice drifted from the doorway. "Why are you awake?" I quickly locked my phone. "No reason, baby girl," I said. "Come here." She climbed onto the bed, and I wrapped my arms around her, breathing in the smell of cereal and kid shampoo. "Are we going to the store?" she asked. "You said we would." "Yeah," I said. "We are." On the way there, my phone buzzed non-stop. More messages. A couple of missed calls from unknown numbers. At a red light, I glanced at one notification from a local news station asking if I'd be willing to talk. I turned the phone over and shoved it in my pocket. "Daddy, look!" Emma pointed out the window as we pulled into the parking lot. "That's the same store." "Yep," I said. "Same store." But today, something was different. There, near the entrance, standing by a silver SUV and hugging her coat tight around her, was the woman from yesterday. She looked smaller without the laughter. Her hair was pulled back less perfectly, her makeup softer. Her eyes were glued to her phone, and even from the car, I could see the tension in her jaw. "Oh," Emma said, "it's the cereal lady." I parked, my heart pounding. "Stay here for a second, okay?" I told Emma gently. "I'll be right back." She frowned. "Are we in trouble?" "No," I said quickly. "We're not in trouble. I just need to talk to someone." I stepped out of the car, clutching the envelope in my hand so tightly it crinkled. As I approached, she looked up. For a moment, we just stared at each other. In the cold morning light, she looked tired. Not glamorous, not like a villain, just like a person who hadn't slept much. "You're him," she said finally, "from the video." "I guess I am," I replied. She let out a humorless laugh. "I've seen it," she said, "a few thousand times, and the comments, and the articles, and the emails from my boss." She swallowed. "I got suspended," she added lightly, like she was trying to make a joke of it and failing. Apparently, publicly humiliating people isn't great for the company brand. I shifted my weight. "I didn't film it," I said. "I didn't post it." "I know," she said quickly. "I know that. I'm not here to blame you." Her eyes flicked to the envelope in my hand. "What's that?" "Your money," I said, "for the groceries. I couldn't find you, so I was going to leave it with the manager. I don't want it." She stared at the envelope like it was something dangerous. "I don't want it either," she said quietly. "It's yours," I insisted. She shook her head, emotions fighting on her face. "My daughter saw the video," she said, voice suddenly hoarse. "She's 11. She came into my room last night with her iPad and asked, 'Mom, why were you so mean to that little girl's dad?'" She laughed again, but this time it broke. "I didn't have an answer," she whispered. "I just stood there, watching myself. I thought I was being funny. I thought I was being generous, even. like I was some kind of savior. And then I saw your face and your daughter, and I just wanted to crawl out of my skin." She wiped at her eyes with the back of her hand. "I am so sorry," she said, the words coming out in a rush now. "Not internet apology, sorry. Not I'm sorry I got caught. I mean, I am sorry I made you feel small. That I turned your worst moment into my joke. That your kid had to see her dad standing there like a beggar," I finished softly. She flinched. "Yeah," she whispered. "Like that." We stood there for a long second, the cold biting at our fingers, the parking lot noises muffled by the weight of the moment. "I'm not a hero," I said finally. "The internet, they're making me into something I'm not. I'm just a guy who couldn't get his card to work." "You're a father who kept his daughter from going hungry," she countered gently. "That's more than a lot of people do." I didn't know what to say to that. She took a deep breath. "Look," she said, "I can't undo yesterday, or the fact that the whole world saw me at my absolute worst, but I don't want that to be the end of the story. If you'll let me, I'd like to help for real this time. No cameras, no jokes." "No, go ahead, use it." She winced at her own words. "I have contacts," she went on awkwardly. "I work in HR. I know a place hiring full-time. Good benefits, day hours. I can put in a word. It's the least I can do." My first instinct was to say no, to tell her I didn't want anything from her, that accepting help once had already cost me my pride. I didn't want my future attached to her guilt. But then I thought about Emma, counting cereal pieces like coins. I thought about the third notice on the electric bill. I thought about how many nights I'd lain awake wondering how I was going to keep going. Sometimes, being a parent means swallowing your pride again. "Okay," I said slowly, "we can talk about it." Relief flooded her face, mixed with something like gratitude. "And the money," I added, holding the envelope out once more. "Please, take it. I need to know I paid you back for yesterday." She hesitated, then accepted it reluctantly. "Deal," she said. "You get a job, I get this, and maybe a chance to show my daughter that I'm more than one awful moment." I nodded. From the car, I heard the passenger window roll down. "Daddy," Emma called. "Did you say sorry to the cereal lady?" Both of us turned. The woman let out a soft, broken laugh. "I think," I said, looking at Emma, "we both did a little bit of that today." I walked back to the car with a strange feeling in my chest. Something like relief, something like hope, something like the first breath after being underwater too long. That night, after Emma fell asleep, I opened the video again. I read the comments. I saw strangers offering help, job leads, money, support. I saw people dissecting the woman's tone, my expression, the power imbalance in a grocery store line. But I also knew something the internet didn't. The story didn't end at the checkout. It continued in a cold parking lot, with an envelope changing hands and two people deciding not to be defined by the worst version of themselves. A week later, I had an interview at the company she'd mentioned. 2 weeks after that, I had a new job, full-time, better pay than the warehouse, actual health insurance, a manager who'd already seen the video and offered his hand with a simple, "You handled yourself well. We need people like you." On my first day, as I walked out the door, Emma hugged me so tight my ribs creaked. "Daddy?" she asked. "Are we not poor anymore?" I smiled, my throat tight. "We might still be a little poor," I admitted, "but things are changing." She nodded, satisfied with that. Sometimes life changes with a crash. Sometimes it changes with a soft beep at a grocery store, a cruel laugh, a shaky "thank you," a viral video, and a conversation in a parking lot. And sometimes, the people who hurt you the most are also part of the reason you finally get to stand up straighter. I don't know what the internet will remember about our story years from now. Maybe they'll forget us entirely, swallowed up by the next viral outrage. But I know what I'll remember. The day a stranger laughed at me in line, and the day, not long after, when we both decided to be better than that. He saw her again 2 weeks later, not at the store, Not at the cafe. At the community center in line behind a cluster of kids waiting for donated winter coats. He wasn't there for himself. He was there stacking boxes, handing out sizes, kneeling down to zip jackets and make goofy faces until the shy ones smiled. She didn't recognize him at first. He wasn't the exhausted, embarrassed man from that grocery night. He looked lighter, not rich, not rescued. Just steady, present. Their eyes met. She froze heat flushing across her face. He gave a small nod, polite, simple, and went back to helping a little boy with sleeves that swallowed his hands. When she found the courage to walk over, her words tangled before they left her mouth. "I've wanted to say I'm sorry," she said quietly. "Not for the receipt, for the way I treated you, for what I assumed." He stood there a moment. Then he smiled. Not the kind that dismisses pain, the kind that acknowledges it. "It taught me something," he said. "People will see what they want to see, but my kid sees me try, every day. That's enough." Her chest tightened, because she knew in that second the joke hadn't been harmless. It had been lazy. Cruel in the quiet way cruelty often is, the way that treats someone's struggle as entertainment. She glanced toward his daughter, laughing with another volunteer while trying on a purple coat, and swallowed hard. "I'm learning to be better," she whispered. "So am I," he said. They both stood there, not as villain and victim, not as rich and poor, but simply as two people who had collided with each other's humanity. He turned back to work. She did too. Later that night, as she sat in her car, she finally admitted the truth. The regret she felt wasn't about guilt. It was about being confronted with a kind of strength she had never needed to build. She opened her phone. Instead of posting a clever status or spinning the story into something flattering, she wrote one sentence in a private note. "Kindness is never a joke, and sometimes the person you laugh at is the one carrying more than you ever could." She saved it, not for likes, for herself. A reminder, because the moment that had embarrassed her changed her, not with grand gestures, not with dramatic speeches, but with a quiet realization. Sometimes, the people who have the least teach us the most, and sometimes the strongest apology isn't words spoken out loud. It's the life you live differently afterward.